Good morning, everybody. We are going to do a morning show today. We're going to wake everybody up.
Get up.
Everybody get up. Get on up. So it's about 5 o'clock in the morning where I'm at. How about all you guys out there in dreamland, dreaming of being rich and famous? I don't know. I really don't have dreams of being rich and famous. I just like to be comfortable instead of living paycheck to paycheck every damn day, every week. Anyway, so what's really going on? I'm like lagging on this stream, but I am live, huh? That's just weird. All right. So this is a little bit regular for me. So how's everybody doing today? Welcome to Grown Folks. Shut up when grown folks are talking. The early morning edition. It's your host, Dougie Fresh Kicks, aka Bread Money.
And we are here to wake you up in the morning and let you know we are ready to take over.
So now that we are ready and we are live, if anybody's out there, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. We're just chilling right now, just getting around, just getting everything set up. Let's see. Other than that, we are doing great. Let's see, what do I got here? Anybody on the chat? Anybody? Anybody watching? Anybody watching? Yeah, because it's hard to sit up here and just talk I haven't really wrote anything yet. I haven't got that far into it. I'm just now just kind of getting my audio and my video together, and I think I'm starting to get the hang of it. This is my third day pretty much. Somebody was telling me about this OBS stuff. I tried that, and that's just like foreign to me. That's not going to work for me. But other than that, we're going to come up with some type of question of the day and ask people. Yesterday was what is your morning routine? I guess today would be like so last night when you went to sleep, what is your nightly routine that you do, and what helps you fall asleep and what helps you stay asleep? Me, I think a couple Klonopin and some melatonin work for me. I usually take about half a Klonopin and about a 12 milligram melatonin just to sleep, but that's me. And then if I wake up, because I have to wake up and use the bathroom or something, I'll take the other half and fall back asleep. Because I can't function usually unless I get at least 8 hours. 10 and I'm cooking. I can get up, do one of these shows, and then actually go to the gym and do something with my day. So that's kind of why I started this, is because I really don't have a lot of things going on. I don't really have a job because I'm on disability. And I've been on disability for a long time, and sitting home kind of sucks when you don't got nothing to do. So I'm going to sit here and mess with you guys, and hopefully we can grow this into something where I have a little bit of a following. Because somebody told me that they say, well, and by the third podcast, if you don't have a certain amount of followings, that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I'm like, okay, well, let's see what's really going on here. But yeah, so Me, myself, I just, try to do the best I can here with what I got. So I hope everybody's having a good morning so far. And all of you who are still sleeping, you get to wake up and come on in and say hi, say what's up. All you early birds out there, that's why I'm doing the early bird show. For all you people who are working third shift and just getting home, I welcome you to come on board and say what's up. I can't do this without other people coming on and actually interacting. I need to grow this thing, so I need some help. So everyone out there, come on and join and help me build this up. Other than that, I'll just tell you some stories about myself. I've been sober for about 6 months now, maybe longer. I don't know. I don't really keep a date. I don't really do the AA thing. I've been to plenty of rehabs and stuff like that. Basically, I wouldn't have considered myself no alcoholic or anything like that. It's just every time I got in trouble, alcohol was involved. So I'd get hemmed up. I remember, what was it? It was like 1993. I caught my first charge. It was delivery of marijuana, and I had 5 accounts. I had a friend who basically, he was a friend to us all, and God rest his soul, he's dead, but I don't want to speak ill of the dead. We became even friends after he kind of ratted me out, if that's not the strangest thing you ever heard. But anyway, what happened was, he had gotten in a fight with his wife and caught his wife doing something she wasn't supposed to be doing, and he ended up doing something bad to her where he caught like a fleeing and eluding or something like that. Well, he always wanted to be a fish and game wildlife guy. And some of you that are out there are going to listen to this, you're going to know who exactly who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to drop names. I'm just going to keep it 100. I'm going to not drop any names because I just, the man has passed and he has family out there, and I don't need no trouble with his family. Like I said, I didn't have a problem with him afterwards. I know some people got to do what they got to do, and I hate to get away from the subject, but, I was taught a long time ago, a man will sing that song if his family's involved or whatever, or if he don't have the heart to just buckle down and do the time, you know what I mean? That ain't the people you want to mess with, because it's the biggest, strongest people that will sing the loudest. So if you're doing dirt with somebody and, he's a big tough guy and you think he's tough, as soon as they get his ass in the two-way glass, texting effects on his ass, watch. He gonna flip. He gonna sing like a birdie. La 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 la. What octave you want it in? You want it higher? Hey, hey. He gonna sing tonight. He gonna sing. He's gonna sing for him, for sure. And the reason why I know this is because I've been through it. I've been through it, and I know exactly how individuals are. They will snitch. Snitches are snitches. They come in all. I mean, and 9 times out of 10, the little man that you're working with, he's the most loyal. He's the one that he ain't gonna rat on anybody because, he wants to prove himself. He wants to prove not only to himself but to everybody around him that he's so tough. And when he knows he ain't, but he's that stupid, he'll go ahead and do that 10 piece or whatever just because he wants to show everybody how tough he is. See, a big tough ass guy, he's the first to go because he already believes that people would never believe that he would snitch. But anyway, getting back to the story, what happened to me is he kept coming over. Yo, man, do you know where I can get some weed at? Man, me and my girl want to get high. And I wasn't selling weed or nothing. I didn't have anything to do with it. I just knew where to get the shit. And I was like 18 years old. And I had some friends from around the way that, I knew where to get it. So basically, he came to me. I went to somebody and asked him where to get it. And he went and got it and then gave it to me because that's how the chain went. So these suckers up here, they busted me 5 accounts of delivery. No, I wasn't dealing no drugs. And then he came a couple of times, got a couple buys. And after the third time, it was officer by the name of Chuck Davis. If everybody around these here parts knows who Chuck Davis is. Yeah, old young Chuck Davis in '93 come knocking on my door one day. And he's like, hey, you know where I can get some weed at? You know, and it probably took me about 4 hours calling around to try to find somebody that knew where to get some, that knew another person that knew where to get some, that his uncle had a friend that knew where to get it. That's how messed up things was. So I finally get this stuff. Takes me 4 hours, and I, give it to him. I don't even hardly make any money. I'm just doing this guy a favor because obviously he was with Bob a couple of times, but he was the head undercover officer. So what happens is this guy, he pops me. He's got like he comes 2 times more. I think it was all in all it was 5 because the last time I didn't have anything but a bunch of homegrown leaves that a buddy of mine was doing some hydro, and he gave me a big sack of like wet hydro leaves that I would, at 18, I'd just dry them out and then roll big joints or whatever. It'd get you high, but it'd give you a headache. You know what I mean? So I had a big boofer sized joint. You know what I mean? It was one of those big, big old Cheech and Chong sized joint. I said, here, man, I got a bunch of this stuff. I got a damn trash bag full of it. Because he gave me the spiel that, yeah, man, I'm selling it to these college kids, and all this. And I hope you're watching this, old Chucky. And you fucked my life up. Over nothing. I wasn't no drug dealer, and I wasn't even dealing drugs. And this is how you guys did me. After that, my life ain't never been the same. Downhill all on from there. But I don't blame you. You're doing your job, whatever. It is what it is. But check this out. So he comes over, and I give him this big joint. And he said, well, that's all you got? You can't? I said, no, man, I can't. I ain't going to go through trying to go through Peter Paul to get to Slim, to get to old Little John, to Bigfoot, to whoever, to get this damn weed. You know what I'm saying? This ain't happening, So, but here, you can take this, because he gave me some spiel or whatever, so I gave it to him. They charged me with delivery for that. So here I am. I don't think nothing of it. I'm just talking to this guy like he's just a regular schmo, and I'm 18, and I just moved up to this small town. I'm not going to drop the town even, but some of you all know the town that starts with an E. It's the worst town in America. It's one of those towns that you come on vacation, you leave on probation. It's that bad. So anyway, I'm kicking along with my life. I end up having a kid. I have my first son. And me and the old lady's just chilling. And I'm fishing with this guy this Bob. Well, I said I wasn't going to drop his name. I'm fishing with this guy. And we're up at Tippy Dam steelhead fishing. And I catch a real nice fish. And we finally get back to the town I was living in. And the friend's house that I went over to said, hey, man, your grandmother, your mom, everybody's been calling for you, man. They arrested your dad, man, and they tried to throw him in jail, but they thought he was you. They're looking for you. And I said, well, I ain't done nothing wrong. You know what I mean? Mind you, this is like a year and a half later. So I sold all this shit in 93 to him. In 95 is when they came and arrested me. They investigated me for over a year, and I didn't really have anything to hide. They were just bored and finally said, well, let's finally hem him up. You know what I mean? I wasn't doing nothing, just had a baby, blah, blah, blah. So I basically turned myself in, and it wasn't much. They didn't do much. I got a court-appointed lawyer, you know what I mean? He didn't really help me too much. He just said, what they'll do is they'll drop 3, charge you with 2. You won't do much jail time. It'll be like 90 days, and half of that will be suspended, so you'll do like 45 days, 48, 49, something like that. So I ended up doing a little bit of time, but I got the 3 years probation, and that's what really sucked, was in the 3 years probation, I was sliding through that the first 3 years, and then right around the end of the third years, they didn't even add any more probation time in, but I end up violating. I don't know, violated for some odd reason, got caught in the bar, whatever, fighting in the bar, doing something stupid, and she'd violate me, and that's when I first did my first stint in rehab. See, I wasn't an alcoholic or anything. I wasn't even a real heavy drinker. I drank, but whatever. But so they just that's what they do. They just try to send you to these treatment centers, even though you're not an alcoholic. So I wasn't an alcoholic yet, you know. To be honest with you, I just drank a little. You know, I've been drinking since I was young, but I didn't drink that much. You know what I mean? I was trying to get straight. You know, I was having a kid, so I didn't party too much. You know, mainly just I loved fish and do wildlife life stuff because, well, damn, I lived up north. You know, I left the city of Grand Rapids. You know, where I was a thug, where I did thuggish stuff, and I did things that weren't the coolest. You know, so anyway, we long story short, I ended up going through this rehab, and uh, the rehab was called Harbor Hall, and it was in Petoskey, Michigan. And I went up there and I did it. And about 8 days left, my dumbass was out shopping at a J.C. Penney's, and I see these shoes, both the same shoe. One is a 10.5, one is a 9.5. I wear a 9.5 shoe, so one has a box, one don't have a box. So the one with the box is cheaper than the one sitting there, but they're the same shoe. I think it was like a $20 difference. So I put the 9.5 in the 10.5 box, went up there and cashed out. Mind you, it's the same shoe. I don't think it really would have mattered, but we had to go with like 6 other people from the house, from this Petoskey Rehabilitation Center. So what ended up happening is they have to snitch on you. You know, and a lot of times people just can't find shit to snitch on people about, but they told on me. You know what I mean, basically, and I had to cover my tracks. I tried the best I can. It didn't really work out for me in the end, and they ended up cooking me. Told me to pack my shit, and I had like an hour to get the hell out of there. Man, I was crushed. I suggest and go report to your parole officer and everything else. Meanwhile, I just did my taxes. I had about $3,000-4,000 in my pocket. I was like, ain't no way in hell I'm going to jail. So I went, found some people to hang out with, and I hung out with them till I was broke. And then the police ended up finding me, and that's it. I went to jail. They sent me to another program down in Grand Rapids called over there on Division and Brown in Grand Rapids. I can't remember what the name of it is. I'm sure somebody in the chat can tell me what it's called, but I think it's Project Rehab or something like that. Anyway, I ran from there, and then the police finally caught up with me, and I went in front of the judge, and I'm like, yo, Yana, I'm just a victim of my environment. You know what I mean? I ain't supposed to be, I ain't no prisoner or nothing like that. All you guys came at me with all these drug cases and stuff. I wasn't even a drug dealer, you know what I mean? And then you take me to a place down in Grand Rapids where they're smoking crack down in the boot wing and they're drinking beers. I'm walking by doors and they're getting high and stuff, man. I didn't want to stay there, man. He's like, yo, Mr. Weibel, I see you got a lot of excuses, but you ain't representing you don't seem like you're sorry or nothing, and it seems like you blame everybody else for your problems. How about 2.5 to 4 years, and you can cool your heels and think about it? I'm like, 2.5 to 4 years? Damn. He's really sending me to prison. So, boom. Now, I'm on the next thing smoking down to Jackson Prison. It's 1999 is when I first went through the bubble. I got a number 259558. And yeah, we go through the bubble. It's interesting, when you first get to prison, they hand you your duds and you hold them in your hand and you look, and it was 7 block. I was 4th tier, 7 block, and you look up and it's like, my God, man, this place is crazy. It's like a bunch of fences just stacked on top of each other, like just squares. And people are just yelling, screaming, "Hey, we're gonna get that booty, boy! Come here! Hey, you want a 3-back, quarterback?" You can't hear anybody because everybody's talking and it's loud and it's just like a culture shock, like you wouldn't believe. Like, holy hell, this is nuts. So I get into my cell. Like I said, I think South Side, so 70, 120, I don't know, something like that. I can't really remember, but it was when they had the two pole barns there, north and south side, because I was upstairs in 7 block for the longest time. It seemed like for 45 days. I ended up spending like almost 2 months in quarantine because they screwed up some paperwork or whatever. But so they moved me from there to minimum over to the pole barns, and I stayed another 2 or 3 weeks over there. And then the bus came and got me, took me over to Carson City. So I was in Carson City for a little while, and Carson City was a straight prison, a pretty straight prison to be at. You know what I mean? The food wasn't bad. It was segregated. We had our white chow line, we had the black chow line, but we all bunked together. You know what I mean? I bunked with some black folks, Mexicans, whatever, but we all kind of had our own cliques. Would it be? But I didn't stay there long. About 8 months came, and why? Well, pack your shit. You're leaving. I'm like, oh, what am I getting out or something? Nope, my ass is going to boot camp. SAI boot camp. Now let me tell you this boot camp. This stuff is crazy, man. This boot camp is nuts. I mean, you go there and you're on the bus, and as soon as you get there, um, they come on the bus and tell you to put your hands between your legs and scream. And you better scream so loud that the the big head cheese, he hears you. I don't know what they call him, like the lieutenant or whatever. He better hear you. And if he don't hear you, you're gonna be whatever. So they transfer you from the prison van over to the boot camp van, and it's just basically your head's between your legs and you're screaming from here to high hell. Ah, all the way through around and until you get there, and then you get there and there's about four big ass buff um army guys, seem like, and boot camp instructors, there, and they're like, hey, um it's they pretty much come in and drag you the hell out of there, make you sit down, stand up, put your turn you around, stand you back up, sit down, stand. They're kind of rough with you, put you in a they call it a ghost suit. It's like a white jumpsuit with a hard hat without any guts in it. So you're bouncing around and your hat's kind of going like this, and all around, and you're like, holy shit, what did I get myself into? This is nuts. You get there, and they got like a line with these numbers on it, you know what I mean? And you stand on a line, and one guy's got clippers, and he's just zipping your damn hair off, and he's leaving like strands. I tried to be slick and tried to cut my shit a little bit bald before I got there, so that just pissed him off. So he kind of dug in there. I got bleeding spots on the top of my head, and there's hair patches and everything else. And you throw the hat on, and you get down, and you join Alpha Company. And the program, it lasts for about, I don't know, 90 days, and then you got to do like 90 days tether after that, which don't make a damn lick of sense. So you're running. I was running like Forrest Gump running through that sucker, for 90 days. And then you get home and you got to get put on tether and you just sit there. You know what I mean? After running and spending all that energy, losing weight, getting strong, because you're doing PT every day and all this other stuff. They give you a little job. I was third shift laundry. So I get through the program, I'm not trainee, wimbo, say it once or say it twice, and all this other stuff. It teaches you a little bit, you know what I mean? There was a lot of quitters. And like when I was telling you about these big tough guys, you know who was the ones that was quitting? And the ones that'll always tell is the big, tough, strong ones that think they're so damn tough, sobbing like little girls in there you know, trying to do ski jumps, exercises, or whatever. You know what I mean? The biggest, toughest guys, they quit the first. They may be big and they may be strong, but they lack heart. And I'm not talking about everybody. Some of you might be big and have heart. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the UFC that's big and have heart, and there's probably a lot that don't. But if you make it to the UFC, I guess you must have something. But from what my point of view is, what I'm trying to say is, it's always the big ones that you have to worry about, and that's how we just went full circle from snitching now to the biggest or the weakest. in the mind. So I get through that whole program and I get home and everything's pretty good. I didn't make it through. I wasn't probationable and I didn't do the tether well. I was out in a car because my tether would reach. So I'd have this chick come over and she hollered at me for a while. And I was in the back seat with her and my PO just ends up pulling up. Got the kid outside, my son's outside. And yeah, I didn't know. I didn't have any choice. I couldn't jump out of the car and run. So she kind of caught me and told me, yeah, when Thursday when you report, make sure you have somebody to help to have watch your son or whatever your ass going to jail. So she gave me at least that much time to get my affairs in order. But so I kind of pled not guilty to the parole violation because my tether wasn't it wasn't going off or anything. So they basically found me not guilty, but still found me guilty of some not doing community service or something else. They always find some reason to get you. You know what I mean? You can't run once the system has you underneath their thumb. There ain't no outrunning it, outgunning it, nothing. They're gonna get you. You know what I mean? It's designed for you to fail, I believe. So basically, I mean, and I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I should say basically, it's designed for you to walk such a straight line that your ass will be puckered so much you won't talk right or walk right. So that's how it feels to me. So basically, I argue with them and I end up getting sent to TRV, technical rule violators. So we do the technical rule violators and blah blah blah. Here we go again. Back into a level 1 prison. Same shit, different day. I do 90 days in there. I'm out. More prison. I never did complete the probation. I think what had happened is when I went to prison. Oh yeah, I did complete I completed the parole part after doing TRV twice, and then she sent me up to a rehab again because I was in rehab in 99 and then 2001 and then like 2005 2006 up at Harbor Hall. So like I said, my whole life, but never was I in rehab, never was I an alcoholic. It just seemed happen that I didn't know that I was allergic to alcohol because every time I drank it, I'd break out in handcuffs. Who would have thought? So anyway, so that's what happened. It's just a weird thing, weird turn of events. But it wasn't until later that I realized that, I had a problem with alcohol is when I had moved into the place that I am now here, and you know, I started because I used to just drink on the weekends, weekend warrior, be drinking, and then I'd be hungover, and I'd let myself kind of heal up. But before that, I would notice myself waking up in the morning and like, man, I need a little bit of hair of the dog, and that started slowly. You know what I mean? That became more frequent and more frequent until I moved in here, and I'm at my girlfriend, and we would buy a half gallon, drink it one night, wake up in the morning, go buy another half gallon, and this would go on for like a couple of weeks. Spend about $1,000 on liquor, and then finally you'd have to just tell yourself, hey, you're going to either die or you're going to have to stop drinking. So I'd take my ass to the ER. I've probably been to the ER 50 times for drinking alcohol. Let me tell you, one time I was drinking alcohol and I was on one of those benders, and I mean, we had a bunch of money. It was either tax season or something, and we was getting high, and we was doing all kinds of dumb shit. And I was drunk as hell. I thought that the world was ending. I looked out the window. I thought I seen the bomb, like the mushroom cloud. I went over to my brother's house, um, and I asked his son, I was like, did you see the bomb or whatever? And he's like, no, man, get the hell out of here. You're drunk, man. Go home, go to bed, whatever. I'm like, wow. I didn't even really remember going over there. It wasn't until after I got out of the hospital, but he had told me. So I said, you know what, I need to start drinking just beer. Forget this liquor, because I'm just guzzling this liquor down and it's killing me, man. I can feel that I'm dying of this stuff. So what happens is I go to the store and I get beer, and I get home and I'm kind of shaking, I'm feeling kind of sick, and I slam this beer, but it goes down the wrong pipe and I aspirate it in my lungs. So the beer goes into my lungs and I can't breathe. So I was already at the hospital and they checked me out, said I was fine, just quit drinking, blah, 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 and gave me something or nothing. So I came back the second time to the hospital in an ambulance. And the ambulance was like, um, the doctor was like, "Hey, didn't I just see you?" I was like, "Yeah, but and that's all I can remember." And then, they had put me under. They had to put a tube down my throat and intubated me, and then they gave me propofol and fentanyl, and then knocked my ass into oblivion, to where I had the weirdest damn dreams. And in my dreams, I shit you not, I was dreaming that um I was at a hospital and it was ran by these blue spider outfit. They had like, it was like this giant spider, and then all the arms would like make mechanical parts for human bodies, you know what I mean? Like arms and legs, and it was just this giant spider, but it had eyes and everything. And I was down, and I was in the hospital, but I ended up going down to the bottom floor and I was looking at it, and one thing after another. And then in my dream, I dreamt that they had took my old lady, because she was in the army, right? So they had took her off the job, and like the last 2 weeks when I was down, they trained her to be a CIA killer. You know what I mean? So this guy is showing me like video of her carrying like um big deer carcasses over her head, and sword fighting and and hand-to-hand combat and all this stuff. She was like a legitimate badass. She was like, like a Navy SEAL times 10, you know what I mean? Navy SEAL on steroids, whatever. But I was hallucinating in my dreams, is what the doctor told me, is that I was having hallucinations while I was intubated. So in my hallucinations, I'm hallucinating all this, and about the giant spider, because there was a TV above my head, and I never seen it because I was out. I was like out. I was incapacitated. So um in that TV is where it would show all this. Yes, your old lady's doing this. She's working for the blue spider company, blah blah blah, and all this other stuff. And I can remember that what I had needed, what the doctor told me while I was under, is he said, if you don't get this transplant within such and such time, you're gonna die. You only have like 24 hours and you'll be dead. And so I'm in the room, and Beth is nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, I'm dreaming this, and in comes like this version of her, this clone version that the blue spider people created. They created this like crazy clone that came in, looked kind of like her, but wasn't her. And then I'm saying, oh, at first I was like, Beth, where have you been? Whatever. And she's like, well, I've been doing the, things, that he told you. I told him to send you the video of me, and you see what I've did. I haven't been at work in 2 weeks. I told you I'm doing missions now, and you can do the missions too, and all this other stuff. And I'll get to that. But basically what they told me was, and like I said, this is a dream, so I'm trying to tell you it like as best as I can remember it, because I've told the story so many times that I kind of remember bits and pieces of it. So it's gonna be kind of in different waves and different type of different. It won't be all in just one lengthy thing, but basically she was a clone, and I kind of caught on to her being a clone, and I called her out. I said, "You're not even Beth. You're not real. I know you're a clone. You're one of those clones that they're making, downstairs in the giant spiders making these giant clones, And oh, you're crazy." And I'm leaving, and then Beth finally came in, and she said that yes, there is clones, but you'll know when it's me. You know what I mean? And then the nurse came in and she said, "Here, put these on your fingers." And I put these like little contact things on my fingers. And if a clone comes in, if you touch them, they'll turn blue. So it seemed like for a month, for a long time, I kept getting clones, and I would touch them, turn blue, and I'd yell at them and tell them get out of here. And then I could hear them, they were frustrated. You know what I mean? I was frustrating them, but I was dying. I only had so much time to live. And then one day, finally, Beth came in the room. It was the real Beth, and I touched her, and my hands didn't turn blue. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so thankful that it's finally you. And so they so she's telling me, she's like, yeah, you only got a few hours left before. Look at the clock. And it was basically a clock that was going down on my life, that I was dying. And I probably was dying. I was drinking myself to death. But anyway, she says, I got to get you out of here. We got to get on the helo because but the doctor's office says they're not going to let you, but I'll show them, you know what I mean? In so many words, she was saying she was going to get me on that bird if she had to kill people, you know what I mean, or hurt people. So basically, the security came in, and she was in a gunfight with them. She shot a couple of them. She's moved me around the gurney around, and she's sliding me behind the thing, and she's up like this, and she's like, what, bam, bam, bam. She's in a gunfight. She's throwing grenades, tossing them, and then I get to the final corridor of the whole thing, and it's this black guy. He's up in this tall glass, and he's down on the microphone. He's like, bitch, you ain't getting past here. This shit's impregnable. Ain't no way you're getting past here. You can forget about it. He's done for. And she's like, no way. So she makes a phone call, and I can just hear, the gates of heaven opening up like I'm dying. And she they end up opening the gate, and there's this guy there. He's singing songs to me, and everything. And I finally, he's like, because there was like something where they couldn't get me on because it was full, but they added me as an extra person. And then poof, at that same moment, it seemed like they're like, Doug, hey, you coming too? You coming too? You know what I mean? And I look up, and it's the doctor and Beth, and this is, I'm awake. I'm waking up. You know what I mean? And it was the strangest thing. And then even in my dream, and I dreamt like I was one of those. I went with them on missions also at one time, and we were taking somebody out. While we were doing it, the guy that we were with, he ended up shooting me in the ankle and left me. He was like, I'm sorry, bro. I'm just in love with her. You know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck? So he basically shatters my Achilles, you know what I mean? So I can't walk, and then he leaves me behind, and Beth don't know about it, and he's telling her that I'm hit, I'm gone, or whatever. Um and the only way that she could get me on that plane, she had to tell her sergeant, and that was the one who shot me, that she would be with him, you know what I mean? So it was like this long weird thing that happened when I was drinking. So yeah, that was my big hallucination, the worst time I've ever been, where I drank myself into straight oblivion, went through oblivion, and went through all those hallucinations and all that thing. And it sounds better, the story does, but I just didn't tell it good this time. But you could only imagine what I was going through. It was just nuts. So so I'm waking up, and I don't have any scars or anything, but I'm still hallucinating. And she's like, yeah, I'm working for the outfit. The job is gone. They pulled me off, blah, blah, blah. But I got to go back, but I'll be back as soon as I can. This one's going to be about 2 weeks, but you're healing, you know what I mean? And they gave you a new pancreas. And I'm totally like awake, but kind of like hallucinating awake now. And I looked down, and there was no scar. I looked down at my leg. You know what I mean? I don't have a scar on my leg either. He says, no, they fixed you up completely. But, the only way that they would do this and help you is I had to agree to be with him. And I was like, you're not leaving me, are you? He says, no, I'm not. I'm going to try to get out of this and get this, but I need time to get out, but I will be back. And then another clone ended up coming back, but I didn't have the blue things or whatever, but she was sitting there. She would sit with me, you know what I mean? And I could tell it wasn't her, but it was actually just a nurse. But I was hallucinating that it was her, but just kind of didn't look like her. And I would yell at the nurse, say, you're not fucking Beth. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? And I was tripping on these people at the hospital. And then finally, what they did is they would have like a bunch of security guard around in case I started going crazy, kind of locked me down a little bit. I was a real unruly patient those first couple of days. And one clone came in and she was like, didn't even hardly look like Beth. And she's like, "Hey, honey, how you doing?" I was like, "Don't even try. Just shut the fuck up. You're not Beth. I know what Beth fucking looks like. You guys keep trying this dumb shit. I ain't fucking falling for it. You guys are fucking nuts. I know you're a clone. I know she's the clone. I know he's got fucking body parts that ain't fucking real. The doctor ain't real, And I dreamt that the doctor was this big turban wearing Indian guy, whatever. But come to find out, in real life, he was an Indian guy, turban wearing kind of guy in real life, which was strange. But yeah, the clone goes over the window, pulls out her phone. She's like, "Yeah, I need a spare tire." And I was like, "Spare tire? Yeah, I just can't do this shit. Yeah, you need to send somebody now to replace me." And I was like, "See, I told you you're a damn clone." And she wouldn't say anything back to me. She's like, "I'm out of here. Love you. Bye." And then she just left. And then Beth ended up I kind of like woke up kind of a second time, like where my brain wasn't so messed up and like kind of in between, kind of hallucinating in reality. And I was like mad at Beth, like reaching to grab her. And she's like, "What's wrong with you? Calm down, calm down." And then I was explaining to her everything that I went through in these, 8, 9 days that I was intubated. And then the 3 or 4 days, that I hallucinated after that because I had so much alcohol and so much drugs mixed in my system and everything. And about it was just all nuts. But yeah, it was just crazy. I gotta stretch my legs here, and I can't sit for this long, so I'm gonna stretch and I'll continue with the story. So, like I said, we are just doing a good morning show. This is Shut Up When Grown Folks Are Talking. It's your host, Dougie Fresh Kicks, aka Bread Money. And today we are talking about, hey, what's your nightly routine? What helps you fall asleep? And what do you do to stay asleep? And how many hours do you usually get at night? And what's your nightly routine like? So if you guys are listening in, just comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be right back. Okay. Whoa. Okay. She'll come in here anytime. All right. So, where were we? Yeah. Basically, as I got better, when I was in the hospital, I still thought that clones existed and everything else, and I was playing cards with one. I called her a clone because what they did is they would look up a lot, and then they would get stuck in that position for like 5 seconds. Then they'd come back. "Hey, what was you saying?" You know what I mean? So that's how I would know people were clones, and I believe that they built them. Um, and oh yeah, and how I got out on the helo was her team came in and they rescued me by blowing a hole through the outside wall of the hospital and then getting and evacing me out. That's how I got through that whole thing. And then I can remember trying to do these card tricks, but my brain was so broken I couldn't pull them off very good. And but it didn't take long, but I got better. And finally, the doctor said I was ready to go home, and I finally went home. And I said, that's enough of that, And I was sober for probably about 2-3 months. I was going to the gym every day. As soon as I started getting stronger again, and then boom, I ended up relapsing, going back. So it wasn't until last year that I finally just made like a commitment that I wasn't going to even let my mind even get close to getting in that position where I was drinking alcohol. There's just no damn way that I could do it. And every day is a struggle for me, but that's why I wanted to start to do this podcast is, I don't know where it's going to head if it can just hear my stories and my experience, if it could just keep one person from making the same mistakes that I did, then I'll be happy with that. Like I said, I'm not going to do this for fame or fortune or to be some top creator. I'm doing it because I like talking and I like to communicate with people, and that's just my goal. Is right now we just want to do this show and hopefully somebody can get something out of it, you know I mean, there's millions of people on YouTube. I'm sure somebody will be watching this and they'll like it. I just got to gain that following and gain people, and so people can so they can get to enjoy it. So yeah, so that's where I'm at with that. So I'm going to end this morning one and I'll see you guys in a few. I have got to go hit the gym, do some other things like that, and figure some other things out. Um, Hopefully, I can reach more people. You know what I mean? As I keep making these videos, because, like I said, it's really hard because you don't have anybody. Um, I'd like to answer questions. I'd like people to be like a Q&A when I'm doing these lives, but I guess I'm going to have to wait and just keep popping these as videos, and hopefully enough people can see it and I can build it up. So that's my goal for now. But I want everyone to have a great day today. And if you're in my neck of the woods, watch the weather. It's supposed to be crappy today. And if you're warm and sunny, enjoy the sunshine while it's still sunshiny. Enjoy every day because it's a blessing by God. And if I can give you any advice, is live every day like it's your last. Peace, love, and gratitude. I'm out.